Hello there, my name's Vince from My Mate Vince, and welcome to day 14 of the Amazon Advent Return Challenge, where I bought a massive pallet of faulty Amazon items and I'm working my way through them. Will day 14 be successful, or will it end up in tears? Let's find out.
Very cheap clock.
This one's only going to take me a few seconds to fix because this second hand is ever so slightly bent down, and what happens is when it gets to the minute hand it struggles for quite a while on it and then moves past it. So let me just fast forward through until it gets down to the minute hand. You ready? Is the suspense killing you? Here we go. Here we go. There you go. You can see it's moved it a little bit, but it will work its way past. Go on, you can do it. Go on. Probably going to end up breaking the gears on the inside. Well, it worked past it before. Anyway, you can see there that it's bent down. Let's take it apart quickly and fix that. This is all going to be fixed. It won't take longer than 2 minutes. Shall I time myself? Now you're going to see a new type of My Mate Vince. My Mate Vince not talking to the camera. I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to whiz through this. I'm going to try to do it in 2 minutes as if it was my eBay days where I'm actually out to try and make money. Are you ready? 2 minutes I'm going to give myself. This is already harder than I thought it would be. Don't smash! Put this round to 12. I've gone the wrong way. I should have gone the other way, would have been quicker. Now let's line them up properly. Uh-oh, running out of time. Make sure I get as much fingerprints on it as possible. Come on. Does this matter where it goes? Don't think so. Mind you, I have a mark here. Stick to the marks and I don't have to guess. You are in. Battery in. Ticking. Let's set the time. You can see now it's not hitting the second hand. And we are done. We are done. I did it within 2 minutes because I was changing the time there. There we have it. Well worth fixing. I know they don't cost much, but it keeps them out of landfill. Somebody will get enjoyment from it, and it is, in my opinion, it's worth fixing. I like them.
Cat plopper stopper.
Look at this here. I seen this and I seen this and I thought, ooh, it's a water sprinkler. But it's not. Well, it is, but it's not. It's a motion activated animal deterrent. So if you didn't want animals in your garden, then I suppose when it detects motion, it will squirt water at them, which is fantastic. I've had a little look here, and apparently you're supposed to set it to medium and set it to, where's it off? Hold on 1 second. Turn the sensitivity dial to M and wave your hands. Well, let's put it to the other ones, AED, I don't know what all these mean, N. And nothing's happening. So we've got a little battery pack in here. Let's bring it over, because what you're supposed to do is there's a dry test you can do where you'll do this. You should be able to hear the valve open on the inside. So hopefully we will be able to test this out on the mat. It might be just the batteries are completely flat, but why was it sent back in the first place? Let's find out. Well, I've just noticed it's solar powered. It's probably been in the box for the last year or something. So let's see if we shine a light in whether we have voltage here or not. It could just be a battery issue. Maybe when they got it, they didn't leave it out in the sun long enough to charge up. So we're on volts DC. It's weird, I always want to think of that as negative and that as positive, but it's not, is it? Right, let's see, up to the lights. Yeah, there we go. I wonder... Let me get a bigger torch. Well, for all the excitement, I forgot to actually show you the solar panel. So I'm on the battery terminals now, and if you have a look here, you can see 0.47 volts. Now if I turn the light on, you will see it will go up to 3.7 volts. Let's angle that. There you go, 5.7 volts. So you can see there, 5.7 or 5.4 volts. So you can see that the solar panel side of it is working. I wonder how this is done here, meaning voltage wise, how's it wired up? So we have no power there, so that's why it's not working. Should we take them out? These are the same little batteries that were in the Buddha. So little nickel NiMH, nickel metal. I made the same mistake in the last one, hydride. I don't think this is going to be faulty, but we're going to find that each of these is completely flat. Yeah, flat. But as far as I know, these are fine to charge up. That one's completely gone, unless one's faulty. Maybe one cell is actually faulty. That's also completely flat. So this is the only one with any tiny bit of life in it. Right, okay. I'm going to go to charge them all up. I think if we were to... Does it have a voltage rating on here? Let's try to work out what's happening. But where are you connected to? You must be connected to here. Yes. And then to there. So they are all in series with each other. 1 second. Here to here. Positive to negative, positive to negative, to negative, positive to negative. So we should actually have, this is 1.5 volts each, so that's going to be 6 volts, isn't it? So let's get the bench power supply on this at 6 volts and see if it comes alive or not. Right, so we're going to do positive to here, negative to here. Oh, there we go, it made a noise. I think it resets after a few seconds. It might even be detected. There we go, I just heard. Did you hear that? Let me stop talking. Do you like money off? Yes, of course you do. Well, check out today's sponsor, PCBWay. Between now and the 31st of December 2025, so don't hang around, you can get big savings. They have a big Christmas sale with up to 50% off. And you can upgrade to purple, matte black and pink solder mask for free. Yippee! They also have free Christmas coupons. And up to 50% off 3D printing and CNC machining. Also check out their special sales in their PCBWay store. So as always, a massive thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring the My Mate Vince channel. PCBWay links will be in the description down below. Now let's get back to the video. Alright, so this video is quite long, and also I don't understand the product. It's always a little bit harder. When I say a little bit, I mean massively harder when you don't understand the product, because you're not sure how it should or shouldn't be working. Anyway, long story short, because this is a boring part of the video, so I'm going to skip it and just tell you what I did. All 4 batteries are completely dead. I tried plugging them into my charger, and my charger won't even accept them. It would just come up with a flashing red X and make a noise because it's not happy with them. I think they're too discharged. It will start flashing up here in a few seconds. There you go. And I've tried to swap them around, It's not having it. Don't copy what you see in my videos. I don't even know if you can charge these ones up from completely flat. I think they're going to be safer than lithium batteries, but I haven't actually done any Google searches. So what I do is I get my bench power supply at 1.2, I think it is, volts, or 1.3 volts, but only 100 milliamps, a tiny amount. And I try to just put a bit of charge into each battery to try to kickstart them. And they do come alive. I managed to get like 1.3 volts or 1. I don't know, can't remember what I get out of them, 1.2, 1.3 volts out of them. After a very short space of time. I only hold a bench power supply on there for a little bit of time, and then the charger accepts them, and then the charger says it goes to amber, and then it goes to green after about 5 minutes, which makes me think, is there some battery management system built into the batteries? As it turns out, the charge lasts no time at all in them, so I think these batteries might be too far gone, or maybe I just need to repeatedly charge them or somehow recondition them to accept a charge. But anyway, that's not what this video is about, because charging up batteries is boring. So what I do now is I do actually charge these batteries up, and I put them in this gadget here. And this is important. In the instructions, it says that when you put the batteries in and you set it to, so you start off on L and then you put the batteries in, but then you move it to M. That will, when it goes off, give 2 clicks. 1 click when the valve opens, and then it's supposed to, after 3 seconds, give another click. So you should hear 2 clicks. So I've got the charged up batteries in here now, and I've got it in my kitchen, and it's completely dark because it's nice and easy to see the green light. I think my studio lights are kind of causing this not to work properly when it's on my mat. But it's definitely faulty, because check out this in the kitchen. We can only hear 1 click. So the valve I don't think is working properly, but because I don't understand the product, I don't know that yet. But let me show you what it's doing in the kitchen. Right, so I've got it hidden in the kitchen now. It's going to be over here. Not sure if you can see it, but I'm going to start walking. Right, so you heard it click there. Watch the green light. But there's no click, is there? And now we'll do that again. So maybe that's the fault. I think I'm going to have to connect this to water, which is a bit of a pain because it's dark outside now, to actually see whether it does let water through. Also, you've got to keep waiting 8 seconds. You ready? There should be 8 seconds now. But there's no click off. So maybe the fault is that it constantly lets water through. I'm going to mess around with it for a bit, and then I'll start filming. Right, okay, it's not doing anything like it was in the kitchen. I can't get it to go off at all unless I take the batteries and put it back in. Now you will hear water dripping. That's because my actual hose pipe's leaking from the reel, but there's still plenty. It still works from here. There's still plenty going through. Now watch this. I'm a cat. I'm going to plop in my mate Vince's lovely manicured grass, and look, I heard a noise, but I can't see any green light going off. And there's definitely no, so a green light went off there, but there's no water coming out of this thing. I'm wondering if the valve is playing up, because there's definitely water here. In fact, you can see water's leaking out of these bits as well. Well, you probably can't see, but there's water leaking out. There's water leaking out here. You might see it on my fingers, and that isn't anything to do with my hose. So the actual fitting's leaking as well. Let's bring it over to the mat and see the green light there, but I can't get any water out of this. I'll tell you what we're going to do, just in case I've got, because even the sprinkler, I know if you're probably from America with big lawns and stuff, everybody's probably got sprinklers, you know them inside out. But this thing clicks around here. I've never used a sprinkler before, so there's this thing here, but it doesn't matter what I do, I can't seem to get anything out of it. So what we'll do is, let's undo this top bit here. Let me just put the camera down. I'm going to undo that top bit and then see if water can dribble out the top. Right, so the top is now off. I can feel water here. When I put my finger in, it is wet. So surely now, when it goes off, it should... squirt water out the top. There you go, there's a green light there. I don't think the valve's working. I think the valve is partially because we can hear it open in the kitchen. I just heard it go there. I think it's stuck. I think the solenoid might be making a noise, but whatever the valve is not opening and closing, because we've definitely got pressure here now. Let me show you. Well, you can't see, but there's water dripping out everywhere, and if I was to undo this here now, I don't want to undo it because I'm going to get soaked, but hopefully you'll see that there's water dripping from it, and that's from the actual fitting. So if there's water coming out of that much of the fitting, it should be flying out the top here if there was no path of blockage. So this is faulty, I'm sure of it. So this product is a little confusing, to say the least. It's got numerous dials, it's kind of hard to work out. So I look online for how-to videos and I can't find anything, but I do find reviews on it on Amazon, and the reviews are absolutely awful. To begin with, they haven't made many sales, and the reviews are like 1 star out of 5, and then other people are selling it as 3 stars out of 5. It says things like leaks like a sieve, doesn't work, etc, etc. I wonder if part of the problem is people not understanding it because it's not overly intuitive. I mean, I've looked through the instructions and I'm still very confused. I think what happens is that you can have it as a normal sprinkler to water your garden every 10, 20 and 30 minutes. So it will go off every 10, 20 and 30 minutes. And then you have 3 different settings as well, low, medium and high. And that will be your deterrent for the animals, depending on the distances involved. So as well as that, you have off, A, which means always on, and then you have D for daytime and N for nighttime, so it's all a little bit confusing. But the bottom line is that the green light's going off, so it's definitely detecting some sort of motion. Not all the time, that also seems a bit hit and miss. And there's no water coming through, so when the green light goes off and it clicks, there should be water coming through, and then it should click again after 3 seconds, which I presume is the valve going off. So it should work for 3 seconds and then click off, which should be enough to scare the animal. Now, as far as I can see, it clicks, but it doesn't click the second time, and there is no water coming through. So 100% there's no water coming through this top bit. Now, you're going to need a certain amount of water pressure, but I do have that in my house. I can water my garden with that hose pipe, and there's enough when you have the water gun on for it to squirt across the length of the garden. So when the valve opens, it should be allowing water through, and it should be able to squirt at least a certain amount across the garden. So let's open this thing up and see if we can work out what on earth is going on. If you think it looks like a kind of bird or a toucan, the Guinness toucan, then you're right, it actually has a sticker sheet with it, and you're supposed to put those things on to make it look a little bit more like a scarecrow. Why a bird would scare a cat, I would have thought a bird would intrigue a cat, but anyway, who knows? It does look like a pretty scary bird. Maybe if you were a cat, it would scare you. So let's open up this thing and see if we can work out what on earth's going on, because it is confusing. The leak, I think I've already fixed. There's clips at the bottom to allow this thing to swivel, so you don't have to lift it out of the mud and put it back into the mud again every single time. There is O-rings with this little clip that allows it to swivel. I don't think the clip was on properly, so I think the leaking side of things has already been fixed just by inserting the clip properly. So let's have a look on the inside and see if we can see something wrong that then might mean that this thing is fixed. Now, let's see what's happening here. What is happening here? So this is going to be like a solenoid thing to open up to allow this to open. I don't think this here is working. Where do you go to? They've completely covered that board in gunk. So various different what looks like light sensors here. That's glued on very well. Well, the solenoid-y thing looks like it's soldered on here. So I wonder what voltage that would be to get that to open. And how is that even put together? Oh, here we go. So now it's going to reveal its secrets. Ah, so this here is on a spring. This should be shoving in and out, like so, yeah? And this is what That's blocked. That's not moving. Yeah? I think that's the problem. 1 second. Oh, I can't. Oh, I can. Oh. Oh, hold on. This here, when you block up that little hole there. So I don't think this is blocked. I think it is a solenoid problem. I wonder why we didn't hear it clicking closed. So if we were to take that out completely and just put that on, the water should be just flying through the sprinkler all the time and doing that across the garden. This is what's supposed to allow a sudden burst through, because this should get energized and suck inwards, I presume. So why don't we put the batteries in and see if we can get that to suck it? Well, I'll tell you what, should we just start adding voltage to it? I don't think it's going to be overly high. Let's see if we can suck it in. Should I unsolder them from here or just go on the board? I'm going to go straight on the board with low voltage. Hopefully it's not going to backfeed and cause any problems. I'll start at 1 volt and work my way up until we see this starting to suck in. I'm on 1.3 volts from when I was charging up the batteries. I don't think it matters which way it goes, but let's see. Nothing's happening there. I can see the water is just making a bit of difference here. I can see it looked like there was a bit of a kind of air bubble. Right, let's up the voltage. I'm going to go to 2 volts, well 2.4. Let's see what's happening there. It's wanting to go. Yeah. Right, let's go up to 3.3. Now it's starting to go. Can you see that there? But surely it should be held down. You know, it's just going down and back up. Let me go the other way. Yeah, why is it... I would say that needs to be held down. I'm going to keep upping the voltage. 4.6. Whoa, see that? That really went for it. But it doesn't hold it down. Does it need to hold it down? I would say yes, because you're only going to get a very short. You're only going to get the tiniest amount of water through. Reminds me of one of those pogs or whatever they're called. You know, the ones you used to stick down and they used to fly up. Well, there's no point in going any higher on the voltage there. Is the problem it's not sucking down? Or is the problem... I don't know how it's supposed to work. Is that it? Is it just to let one squirt through? Is that the idea? Just a tiny blast. What I could do is... I could mark up one of the wires on the board and then... So let me put a bit of solder on one of the wires and we can that can denote A. And then what we can do is we can unsolder it, put power directly in and see is something on the board causing that power to dissipate. Also, think about it a minute. The instructions said you'll hear it and 3 seconds later you'll hear it click. So surely that's the click going out and the click coming in, no? So I think the fault is on this. So let's see now what it's going to do. I've got it at 4.5 volts. Right, I'm just going to blow through it and see if it gets any easier or harder. I don't think it's open long enough. Why is that? Why is it not holding? That makes no sense. If it's energized, let's think about this a minute now. If it's energized, yeah, why is it not sucking it in and keeping it in? It sucks it in and lets it go straight away. That can't be correct, can it? It can't be. For as long as I keep this energized, it should be staying in. The only thing is it because, is it something to do with do I need to put more voltage in it? If we could activate this and measure the points here, and if voltage, like 5 volts, stays on it for 3 seconds, we know then that you know, it should stay in the whole time. So in there now. So I try to get voltage from it, but it's so hit and miss with this thing working. I can get it to work reliably in the kitchen when it's very dark, but I think my studio lights are playing havoc with it. Also, you might be wondering that the batteries have changed. Those rechargeable batteries, I think they need work to them. 2 of them seem completely dead. The other 2 do seem to be holding a charge. Right now, I've just got normal alkaline batteries in there. I know that's bad, because the solar panel could be charging them, but for most of this testing the solar panel is against the map, so it shouldn't be getting any light. Obviously, if I get this working, 4 proper rechargeable batteries will need to be put in it. This is purely for testing. Anyway, I don't seem to be getting any voltage out, but every now and then my multimeter does try to measure something. It's just not quick enough. My multimeter is not quick enough to show the voltage because it probably takes half a second or so to register the voltage. So I get the scope out and I try it with a scope because the scope should be a lot quicker at measuring the voltage. 15 volts, what? Is there any way I can do a hold? I'll tell you what, let's change this to 5 volts, so then it's going to be up to about here for 15 volts. Auto, let's go to, you can see it's up there, 15.4 volts. Wow, that's huge. Maybe if I put 15.4 volts in, it will actually go stable then. And look at that, so there you go, that's a reason to use the scope. Okay, let's put 15 volts in. Let's undo this and let's see if 15 volts will keep that in. Right, let's go all the way to 15. Maybe I need more current as well. I'm still just going to be on the 100 milliamps, aren't I? But I'll see what happens. Maybe that's the problem. Hope this doesn't come flying out on my head now, because that's a lot of voltage there, isn't it? Oh well, be entertaining. You ready? Whoa. Still doing the same thing. Let's go the other way. And that went down with nice force. Still comes back though. I'm going to up the current just to see. Oh, there you go. It held down there. Did you see? It held down with more current. Look. And then let go. It's working. I just want to see if it works the other way as well. So it was more current it needs. But not that way. Have they soldered this on the wrong way then? Because remember, we heard it go one way but not the other. So down, then let go. But we still only seen 15 volts here for a split second, didn't we? But that's what we should be hearing. I think I might swap them round on the board to see if that fixes it. How would we actually prove that? Well, the one with the solder on is the negative. So if we get a reading, because look at that there, that is holding it over 1 amp though. Maybe maybe I'm forcing too much in. So if I put this on now, and blow through it. So we're going to be blowing through from this way because this is where the lock was at the bottom. So yeah, okay. Weirdly, I can still blow a bit through. Let's tighten that up. Not 100% convinced because I can still blow a tiny little bit through, but you could hear there's definitely more airflow. So now we need to go back to the scope. We know that A was the negative. I think A should be the negative because when I go the other way, it's not. When I put the positive one on here, it's only doing it for a split second. I think that's wrong. Yeah. So if I was to go in there now. You see it's not working. Imagine if that was the fault. I feel like that might be it. Because think about it. It's not going to be a short burst. There's going to be an animal in the garden. This doesn't know exactly where it is. The range goes out like here. It's supposed to cover like 90 square meters or something ridiculous. So it needs to go be on for 3 seconds to allow the water to go across the whole garden. Do you remember we marked up one of the enamelled wires with solder and that denotes the one that was connected to A? Well, we know that this solenoid valve thing works when we have the negative wire from the bench power supply on A and the positive wire on B. So what we want to do is we want to see the scope. If I was to put the negative lead from the scope on A and the positive lead for the scope on B, we want to see a waveform that goes up towards the top of the scope. That will then denote that that's a positive voltage, so we know it's being wired correctly. If, when we do that, we see that the waveform goes down, we know then that that's negative. So then it means then that the solenoid valve thing has been soldered on the wrong way because we want the soldered wire, the enamelled wire, to be negative. So if the soldered wire turns out to be positive, then that's why this valve is not working. No, it went down. Yes, it went down. Look. Right, so we want to go black on here, and if it's been wired correctly, when it jumps up, it should go up the screen. If it goes down the screen, it was wired incorrectly. No, that went down the screen. What? Apologies, it's a nightmare to work on. I have to dart my head in and out in order for the sensor to pick up movement. I've only got 2 hands and I'm struggling here. Anyway, hopefully you've seen that the scope went down there. So now we're going to wire it up differently than it was before. Before, the enamelled wire that I put solder on was going to A. We're now going to put that same wire to B. And then the other wire we're going to put to A. So we've swapped it over. And then we're going to go over to the kitchen. We're now going to see if we can hear 2 clicks like the instruction says. While before, remember at the beginning, we only heard 1 click. So the one that I put solder on is going to be on B. So I swapped the wires around. I presume it's very possible that they were put on the wrong way in the factory. What I don't understand is it's a coil of wire in this solenoid. Why on earth would it matter which way round it goes? But maybe it's wired where the positive is on the inner and then the negative is on the outer, and maybe it needs to see it like that. And if the wires are crossed over and you have the positive going on the outer side of the coil with the negative on the inner, maybe it doesn't suck in the plunger as much. Not too sure. Anyway, I've crossed the wires over now from what they were at the beginning of the video, and I've put it all back together. Let's go back into the kitchen now in the dark and see if we can hear 2 clicks. Right, I'm in the kitchen again, and you can definitely hear 2 clicks now. So check this out. Walking across. There you go, 1 click, then 2 clicks. I seem to remember the click going with the green light before, but maybe I'm imagining it. And we're going to give it another 8 seconds, so another 3 or 4 seconds from now. And we'll go across again, and you will hear it will do it again. So it wasn't doing 2 clicks before, and now it is. Ready? There we go. So we've got the double click. Now, I'm back to the alkaline batteries because those ones there, 2 of them are completely gone, which is weird. But those 2 are testing 1.2 volts, but even that, they're not holding on to their charge. Maybe I can charge them again and again and again, and they might recondition themselves. I'm not too sure. I need to do a little bit of reading up about these nickel batteries here. Now, I'm going to put the hose pipe into it one more time, just to try to get some sort of water coming out the top here, and I'm going to call it a day then. I'm certain we fixed the problem. They've soldered on the wires wrong at the factory, but I just don't know how good the product works anyway, and I don't really want to spend any more time on it. Oh, look at this. You move these things around, so if you want it to go round the most possible amount, you'd have it like that, and look, it will go to here until this, so this will be like that, and then it will click, and then I presume change direction, click, change direction, click, if it was like a sprinkler all the time. And then if you were to put this like this, you're going to make it spray less of the garden. Boom, boom, boom. Ah, so simple. Don't really know how it works, as in like what this does to change the water flow. It'd probably be quite an interesting video watching how a sprinkler mechanism works, because they look very complicated, but they must be very reliable because they're doing this for hours on end, aren't they? Yeah, excellent, okay.
Showtime.
Right, I have to keep my voice down because it's 10 to 11 at night and I'm outside. But anyway, oh, I think I've woken up the crows. I've put some different NiMH nickel batteries in here because I read that the alkaline ones may not produce the same amount of power. They're good for low drain devices, but they might not produce the same amount of power as high drain devices. Anyway, check this out. It's not staying on for 3 seconds, but I think it's doing its job, and it seems to be working well for sensitivity. It seems to be, as long as I leave 8-second intervals, it seems to be working really well. So watch this. You'll see the green light come on. A few seconds later, it will give a squirt, then another squirt. Green light on. Wait for it. Look at that. Now wait 8 seconds, I'll try to get a different angle. The light's behind me, so it's a little bit awkward, but it is going all the way over to the fence over there. Well, some of it is. You can adjust the height and stuff like that. Right, you ready? Would that be 8 seconds? So now, green light should come on. Not sure, did it come on? Oh, whoops, it did come on. Look at that. Look at the distance it's going. Let's try to get it from this side. So amazingly, it's actually working really well, and it is giving a bit of a fan. So I'll tell you what, let's go over here and do it. There you go, green light. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And it's not leaking. So it's not leaking from here anymore. It all seems quite watertight. There's a little bit dripping down from here. I presume that's to do with the sprinkler. But I'm really impressed with that. Green light. Look at the distance it's going. I absolutely love it. I think it's a great idea. Right, we're going to do one more and then we're going to call it a day. I thoroughly enjoyed that one there. So the wires look like they were switched at the factory. Why that makes a difference on a coil, I have zero idea. Could it be because one of the wires is on the inside and then the negatives on the outside? And maybe because they're switched, it turns out that the inside is the negative and the outside is the positive. And that, I know it's one wire, but I'm talking about where it starts. And maybe that makes a difference. You ready? I think that is absolutely brilliant. And now what I've done is I've actually pushed it fully into the ground, and it seems like it's got more power, because before it was wobbling, and I think that was kind of damping the power of it. Now it seems to be even more powerful. So I really like that. So let's pretend we're a cat. I'm going to let it go for its 8 seconds. And now I'm going to come along here, start walking. There we go. There we go. Brilliant.
Summary.
So there we have day 14. Thoroughly enjoyed that there. So I've put down £6.50 for the clock, because I'd be happy to sell that 50% of retail. And for the cat deterrent, I've put it down as friends and family, 25% of retail. I've seen them go for £41, so I've put it down as £10.25. So total today of £16.75. However, this cat deterrent I'm unsure about, because I watched a video, but it was from 8 years ago and it was from a different model, but it definitely did spray for about 3 seconds and it was going left and right like this, which is really what you want. I thought the fact that the stickers were like a bird, why would you do that? But of course this is sold worldwide, and in other countries they have problems with possums and other birds maybe eating their vegetables in their allotment, so then they would put something like this here. So obviously my brain, I thought it's just going to be for the UK and what we're going to have here, cats and dogs, but in other countries you might be wanting to scare away birds, etc. So the toucan would scare away other birds. Now I am just going to show you the circuit board on the inside, because what I want to know is this item still faulty? Do you think it's the chip that programs the 15 volts and then 3 seconds later 15 volts again? Or do you think there's a faulty transistor or something which is not being turned on long enough for the whole 3 seconds? Or is it that massive capacitor that's supposed to give the charge to last for 3 seconds? I did try to piggyback another capacitor on top of that, but I only did 1000 microfarad 16 volt, while the original one I think was 3500 microfarad at 16 volts. So has the capacitor failed? The thing is, by piggybacking 1000 microfarad onto it, you'd expect it to last for a little bit longer. But it didn't. It was still just a split-second burst, and then 3 seconds later, split-second burst again. So do you think that this has actually been programmed wrong from the factory? Or do you think there is a faulty component on there which is stopping it from working for 3 seconds? So if you could put it down to the comment section below. As far as I'm concerned, I'm putting it down as a fix, because for a friends and family, I think it would do the job of scaring away a cat, or a dog, or an owner letting their dog do its business on your front garden. But I don't know if that's fixed properly, so that might have to be a revisit video sometime later in January. But anyway, even if it's not fully working, it's still a super interesting product, and I thoroughly enjoyed looking at it. Hope you enjoyed day 14. I'll see you again on day 15, and let's see if we can make any money on day 15.